Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to be talking about circles and circumference. To begin, we're going to take a look at our circle and we're going to label the different parts of our shape. So here we have the diameter, and the diameter is the distance across the circle through the center. Diameter can be drawn in many different ways, as long as your line goes directly through the center of your shape. The radius is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. So in a similar way, we can draw the radius in many different forms as long as it goes through the center to any point on the circle. Let's practice finding radius and diameter. So for problem A, the diameter of a circle is 20 feet. Find the radius. So I'm given that this whole length is 20 feet. Knowing that my circle has a center point, I can say that this length is 10 feet and this length is 10 feet. The radius is the length from the center to any point on the circle. So here my radius is 10 feet. For problem B, the radius of a circle is 7 meters. Find the diameter. So given the distance from the center to the point on my circle, I can use this information to find the length from one point on my circle to the other point. I want to find this entire distance. The reason that 7 meters helps me is because if this length is 7 meters, then this length must be 7 meters as well. When I add 7 plus 7, I get 14. So the diameter of my shape is 14 meters. Let's talk about circumference. The distance around a circle is called the circumference. The ratio circumference divided by diameter is the same for every circle and is represented by the Greek letter called pi. The value of pi can be approximated as 3.14 or 22 divided by 7. So as we just saw, our formula is circumference divided by diameter is equal to 3.14. But I want you to take a moment to think how I can use this information to solve for circumference. I'll give you a hint. We can rewrite this equation to solve for circumference. Circumference equals 3.14 times our diameter. Let's solve for the circumference of our circles. Problem A. Find the circumference of the flying disc. Use 3.14 for pi. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write my formula for circumference to keep me organized. So circumference is equal to diameter times 3.14. Now, in this problem, I see my flying disc, and what's labeled is my radius. It's my length from my center to the point on my circle. But my formula wants diameter. So what I need to do is I need to take my length, 5 inches, and I know this length here that's not labeled, this is also 5 inches. So the diameter of my shape here is going to be 10 inches long. Now let's plug this into our formula. Circumference equals 10 times 3.14, and when I solve, my circumference is equal to 31.4 inches. Let's look at problem B. Find the circumference of the watch face and use 22 divided by 7 for pi. So the reason that we're using 22 divided by 7 is because it's more exact, where 3.14 is an estimate because pi is a really, really long number. So here we're going to use a more exact value for pi. So in my picture, I see that we are given our diameter. We're given the length from one point to another point on my circle. So this is 28 millimeters. I can go ahead and set up my equation. Circumference is equal to 28 times, and this problem tells me specifically to use 22 over 7, so that's what I will use. So times 22 divided by 7. When I multiply fractions, I can multiply straight across. So 28 times 22 is equal to 616. 1 times 7 equals 7. And now I'm given an improper fraction, so I'm going to simplify. I'm going to divide 616 divided by 7, and I get 88. So my circumference for this shape is 88 millimeters. But what about finding the perimeter of a semicircular region? A semicircle is 1/2 of a circle. Let's find the perimeter of a semicircle region. To start, I'm going to do the same as my previous problem. I'm going to write my formula. So circumference is equal to diameter times 3.14. Okay, so I'm given my semicircle, and I also see that I have a diameter of 6 meters. This is my length from one point on my circle all the way to another point on my circle. So I'm going to start by filling in my equation. 6 times 3.14. When I multiply these two values together, I get an answer of 18.84. But we just found the circumference of a full circle. This is the formula that will tell me if this circle was all the way shaded in, my circumference would be 18.84. But if we're only looking for half of a circle, what I can do with this value is I can cut it in half. So I'm going to take 18.84 and I'm going to divide by 2. When I divide 18.84 by 2. My circumference is equal to 9.41 meters. If you would like to add this to our formula, you can. So when we're working with a semicircle, you take the diameter times 3.14 and you cut it in half. So that's exactly what we did. Let's try one more problem. Find the perimeter of the semicircular region. So I'm going to start by writing my formula. Circumference is equal to diameter times 3.14. And if it helps you to stay organized, since we are working with half of a circle, I'm going to make sure that I take whatever my answer is and I cut it in half, because we don't need the measure of a full circle. We're only looking at half of our circle. The information that's given to us is the radius of my circle. I know that from the center to one point on my circle, it is 15 inches. But if my equation wants the diameter, I can say that this distance is also 15 inches. So altogether, from one point on my circle to the other point on my circle is 30 inches. Again, I know this because 15 plus 15 equals 30 inches. Let's substitute into our equation. So circumference is equal to 30 times 3.14. When I solve, I get 94.2. But I'm not finished yet because this answer represents the circumference of a full circle and we only have half. So I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to divide by 2. 94.2 divided by 2 is equal to 47.1 inches. I hope that you found this video helpful. Please let me know if you have any further questions.